Welcome everybody. This is ABM Ernest Boniface Makulilo and I welcome you to the EBM Scholars. And today I'm here to cover the topic about green card by marriage. I've been talking a lot about green card, our permanent residence here in the United States of America. But we have been through with the season of the DV lottery. The results have been out and we have been talking about suspension and some sort of different ways on how you can continue with the process if you have won and what if you haven't won the DV lottery. But people want to know more about it. Green card by marriage. How does it work? First of all, what are the processes? And there are so many related questions on the green card by marriage. Is it a guarantee to get a green card if you are married to a US citizen? That's number one question. Secondly, related to that, after marriage or after the wedding or after that, how long will you be able to wait until you process your green card or you apply for the green card? Third question, after getting married and applying for the DV lottery, what documents you need to have for the entire process? Meaning to prove that your marriage is legitimate marriage, bona fide marriage, and also to process overall to be able to be given a green card. What are the documents you need to have? In addition to that, what type of forms you need to fill to process the green card by marriage? And the bonus question will be able to answer will be, does the immigration suspension, the proclamation from the President of the United States, the suspension until the end of the year, December 31st, 2020, will that or does that affect processing of immigrant visa, green card visa, or adjustment of status if you are in the United States through green card by marriage? Is that going to be affected? So there are so many questions I'm going to cover in this kind of today's discussion. So welcome everybody. As I said in the beginning, this is EBM Ernest Boniface Makulilo. And in case today is your first time to come to the EBM Scholars Show, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and share these kind of videos to other people. Because by sharing, you keep people getting informed. And just by learning what are the best ways to process things and not going to be out of status. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let me start. As I mentioned, there are different ways of getting green card. One of the ways is through marriage. And by marriage, I'm not talking about the scams. I'm not talking about the fraud. I'm not talking about faking immigration or bypassing. I'm talking about people to go fall in love, getting married in a proper, legitimate way and being together. That's what I'm talking about. So don't bring the questions, okay, do we get someone to pay the money and to get married? That is fraud and you'll be sentenced to jail, and in addition to that, you'll be deported after being found. After serving the sentence, you'll be deported back to your country. What I'm talking, so it depends whether you are in the US, whether you are out of the US. How you get to know, get in love with American citizen, that's up to you. There are different ways. Some people some can be through tourists. Some Americans can be students overseas. You can meet someone there. I know so many people who have met Americans overseas. Or they have met online, they become friends for a couple of years, and then down the road, they just decided to visit one another, get a fiancé visa, and get married. And then there are some people that have been here in the US, maybe they came to the United States as students. They have been here in the US for a little bit longer time. They have been here, let's say, for 5 years, or just for my case. I came here as a student, I was here, then down the road after like 2 years, I met my wife, we got married. So there are different ways you can find someone while you're already here, or you can find someone while you are outside of the United States. So that is out of your job. How are you going to meet American citizen and fall in love? But the point is you got married. So what next? What next is, if you are in the United States, number one, you must be, the first time you came to America, you must, it has to show that you came here legally. That's number one. Yes, you might be out of status right now, but the biggest thing which must be a point to people to consider is you must come here legally. It doesn't matter whether you are out of status right now, because even if you are out of status, but if you got married, they will still process your green card and you'll be given a green card. But if you came here illegally, that means from day one you came under the border, whatever, without processing through the coming with the visa. Maybe you didn't come through the proper channel. You didn't get into the customs border protection, get the stamp, and come into America. You came through maybe under the bridge, whatever, just by sneaking to America. If you came through that way, they will give you green card, but you must first get out of the America and process the visa to come here legally first. But here, if you came, for instance, legally, you have been maybe a student or tourist, even if you are out of status, still they will be able to process your green card without any problem. I want to clear that one. But if, when it comes to the green card lottery, for instance, I can just mention that you have to understand is, if you want the green card by lottery, and you are out of status, they will never give you green card because you're out of status, but different from green card by marriage, because they have to give you green card because they cannot separate the family. That is the philosophy behind it. So after that, so you got married. Then after getting married, you can be able to apply for the green card. So if you are in the United States, what you do, you file what we call adjustment of status. But you don't just go and file adjustment of status. I'll go to explain a little bit about adjustment of status. So you get married today. After getting married today, you have what we call the marriage license. Or for people just like for other, we are getting used to marriage certificate, but in the US they don't call it marriage certificate. We call it the marriage license. You get it from the county office or the government office in a simple way, that way. So you use that one to, once you get married, then they process. So after 1 week, whatever, couple of days, you get the official stamp and everything, so it becomes official. Then you can be able to file. So how many days do you need to file the card itself, like to apply for the green card? Do you need to apply right away? Right away after getting married? Maybe you get married today. Maybe 2 weeks later or tomorrow you can be able to apply, or you have to wait at least a year. That is one of the controversial things. So that's number one. For the government perspective, they don't care how long are you going to wait to apply for the adjustment of status or to apply for the green card. Whether you get married today, you apply tomorrow, is up to you. Whether you wait for 1 year is up to you. They don't care. Why? Because that doesn't matter on any part, because that doesn't prove that you are, what they want to prove is just a bona fide marriage. This is not immigration fraud. It is your real marriage. You didn't get married to someone so that you can get a green card. You just fall in love, you truly marry one another, and you are going to stay together. That's what they want to prove. So if you can prove that, they don't care. You get married today, you apply tomorrow, they don't care about that. That's number one. But there are other things you have to know which they can be able to be as indicators, or things you can be able to use as evidences that this is a bona fide marriage. This is a legitimate marriage after getting married. So number one, obviously you need to have the proof that you got married, which is a marriage license, which is very clear. Why am I giving these kind of evidences or the documents you need to have? Because these kind of documents will be able to determine the timeline. Sometimes you might wait for a little bit of a month so that you can be able to process these documents. But if you have processed these documents before, there are certain things you can be able to process before. That means it will be easier for both of you to be together and just continue from that moment. So number one, obviously you need to have a marriage license, which you can get right away after getting married, obviously. But some other things, for instance, these other things can be, obviously you need to have the, for instance, let's say you are living, obviously you are living, your husband and wife, you live in the same apartment or same house. On the lease, do you show the names of both of you living together? That is something you need to consider. So, for instance, if let's say during the time as fiancé you have been living together, make sure that you put someone on the lease. So that is another document that, okay, another proof that we are husband and wife. On the lease, we are together as husband and wife. Yes, you can use, my wife also uses the same address. But if it is better to have the joint lease, like we live two people, like from that point, you can show that evidence instead of just envelope that, oh, this is the address where I live. But if you can put it on the lease, you can put someone like electrical bill, water bill, the trash, sewage, whatever bills, those kind of bills you are using together. So you can have someone is in those kind of bills if you live together, even if before you get married. So if you want to file this kind of information right away after marriage, make sure that all those kind of things you have already. So that's another thing you have to consider. There are a few other things which you can take care before while you are processing your wedding or even during the wedding. For instance, if you are using the bank account, if you have a joint bank account, or one on the credit card, another person is an authorized user of the credit card. So that also helps you in order to process. So there are those kind of things you need to understand, which are very important. Anything to show that you are owning something together. Let's say you have the car. So it's just one person. I mean, like you are the owner of the car. You just purchased the car. You have auto loan, but another person is also part in that loan. In the auto loan is there in that loan, or on the auto insurance is also authorized like a driver or something like that. So anything you have to prove that you are together is very, very critical. You have health insurance. Health insurance, that means you are together, is covered. You are at work. So you have filed the tax return, joint tax return. But even if it's not the tax year, the time to file the tax return, there are other things you can be able to add together. One of the other things you need to have, for instance, let me give you an example, when you are filling the form with your human resources officer at your work, for the processing of the W-2, the taxation, like all those kind of deductions. So if someone is going to put you there, like, okay, how many deductions? Like, okay, it's you and your spouse. Things of that nature will be able to do that. But some people, they have kids before they got married, or they have kids, then they process later, for instance. But if you have a child together, basically, even if you don't have any other documentation, birth certificate of your child together is more than any other document you have. On my case, and my wife Marie, we got married on May 1st, 2010, but I didn't apply for the green card right away. I applied maybe, it was 2011, almost at the end of 2011. So almost 1.5 years later, that's when I filed for my green card, adjustment of status. I was having other reasons. I wanted to continue to be full international student and get my scholarship, PhD, and all other kind of things as international student. And I didn't want to go direct as green card, and then I started getting the loan and other crazy stuff. So at that time, for my case, while I was doing my application, my son was already born. So even on the document they say, if you have a child together, which you have the birth certificate, if you have to submit that one, and that one is more critical than the bank statement. And sometimes your wife can decide to change the name. It's not a requirement, but some people, some of the spouses, the wife, they decide, okay, I can change the name and use the spouse's last name, my husband's last name. So if he's going to use the husband's last name, what you need to do is you need to show that legally you have changed your name, and maybe you show your social, you show your ID, that these are the proof that even the name have done the name change, because you cannot just go and do a name change and call it Marie Makulilo just for the matter of being Marie Makulilo. You have to show the evidence I'm getting married, I got married, so I'm changing the name to my husband's name. So there are all those kind of things are documents which you can be able to use is to prepare for the application as evidence to submit. So if you can be able to have those documents, so those documents will be able to determine when can you be able to apply for the change of status or adjustment of status from the visa you are having to become a green card holder. So if you ask the first question, when should I feel or apply for the adjustment of status or for the green card after getting married? as long as you have these documents, most of these documents, I don't say you must have all these documents, because if you don't want to change the name? So if you don't want to change the name, there is no need for showing the evidence. If you don't have the child, you don't need to show the birth certificate of the child. So my point is, gather as much documents as you have. So if you have all those kind of documents, those documents will be able to guide you when you have those documents. So if you got married today, but maybe you didn't live together, I'm giving an example, you decide, okay, let's go to live together, let's go and have an apartment together. So you start gathering those information. Let me go to add my wife, my spouse into the health insurance. So it can take like a couple of weeks, all those kind of things. So, but you can do, if you have those documents, as soon as possible, you can be able to apply at any time. Because why am I saying this is very critical? Because many people, they get confused. Like, if I apply right away after the marriage, they might think that, oh, maybe I'm doing this one for the immigration fraud. No, they don't care about that. You can wait even 2 years, but you can still immigration fraud. So that doesn't care. It doesn't matter when are you going to file for that. So let's clear that was a bigger question. When are you going to apply for the marriage certificate? When are you going to file overall for the adjustment of status? So after clearing that, the big question when, and overall the documents which have been going through, which those documents, they'll be able to prove that this is a bona fide marriage, is not a fraud, then you have to go ahead and file. So in filing, there are 3 things you need to know. Number 1, first of all, your wife has to file one form to petition that your relative, or your husband has to petition, the one who is an American citizen has to petition. I think you feel you are going to file the form I-130, I think, if not mistaken. I'm not on my computer here while I'm talking. But you have to, the spouse who is American citizen has to say, this one is my immediate relative. So American citizen has to prove that beyond reasonable doubt by just filling the form that this is my alien, this is my relative, this is my spouse. So that is number 1 form. Then there is another form. You who is international student, or you are in tourist visa, or you are in whatever type, you are in J1 visa, whatever type of visa you have here in America, then you are going to adjust, you are going to fill the form. Now you are changing the visa status from whatever visa you have to become a green card holder or permanent resident. So that is called Form I-485, adjustment of status. The same form if you are getting green card by employment or by work, the same form if you are getting the green card if you're in US and you get green card by lottery, whatever the thing, but if you're getting green card while you are in US, you fill the form adjustment of status I-485. So you're going to file that form too. So the form adjustment of status is the person who is kind of like becoming a citizen, is going to become a permanent resident. But the spouse who is a US citizen is going to do the petition, alien petition, like this is my relative, this is my spouse, and I want this person to become a permanent resident. So in addition to that, there is a form, you have to work authorization. You have to apply for work authorization. That form is free. These 2 forms, adjustment of status and alien petition, your wife is going, your spouse is going to petition who is American citizen. You have to pay. I don't remember exactly the amount, but it's about 1,001 something. So then, if you're going to file together with the work authorization, that means at the time you'll be waiting for the interview and the entire processes, you'll be given the work authorization status, the card, just like the one people who are applying as international student after finishing studies, they are getting what we call OPT, optional practical training card, which is a work authorization for 1 year. The same work authorization you'll be able to be given. So you are going to fill that form. That form, you are not going to pay that like almost like $400 US. You don't pay that amount because that will be like a free, you fill it together. So you do the entire package. But before you submit, you have to do the medical examination. You don't go to any medical doctor you want. There are medical doctors who are approved, and they are within the website of the USCIS, the immigration website. You can be able to go and put your zip code, and they will tell you which doctors or physicians are approved to take to do the medical. So they'll be able to do the medical, which is about like nearby 400. Then from that, You put the check. You're supposed to pay. You put the full package. You submit. Once you submit with all the documents, the marriage certificates, all the documents have been collected together, you send like the copies, obviously. You are not going to, your passport copy, whatever all those copies, you are going to put them there. You don't send the original. Once you submit, within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll be given the notification to go and do the fingerprint in a certain location. You are going to do the fingerprint. After the fingerprint, 1 to 2 weeks, you'll be receiving the actual card, work authorization card, for 1 year. So basically, within 4 to 5 weeks, you'll be already having the work authorization. You can start working to any employer without restrictions while you are waiting. So while you are waiting for what? You are waiting for the date to be called for the interview. So that ranges between 4 to 8 months. It depends on the office, the region. Some of the states, they have more cases, people to be interviewed to get the green card. Some, they have fewer cases, so it depends. There is no clear cut. Myself, it took like almost like 4 or 5 months, then I got my green card. So it depends where you are, the availability. But if you're in pandemic time, this one, there will be fewer appointments. So that will be taking a bit longer. I've seen some people, they take over 9 months to wait. But no matter what, you still be allowed to work while you are waiting. And if it takes more than a year, they are going to issue you another card, which is going to be extended for work authorization. So that is something else you need to know. Then it comes to the green card interview, the marriage interview. So all the documents you submitted at the beginning, you will take the same documents, you will go with those documents to the interview. So you have to take the original documents at that time to go with those documents at the interview. And you must go with your spouse. So no one is going there. So there are so many kind of complications. People, they complicate their life. Like they wanted to go and read all the questions about what question are they going to ask in immigration. Because, are they going to separate you? People, they are threatening one another. People want to start memorizing questions. I usually tell people, don't do that mistake. As long as you are legally married, you are really married, it's not immigration fraud, it's not a scam, it's not trying to lie to the US government. There is nothing you need to prepare. The questions are very simple. Because they will ask the question, I'm giving you an example. Where did you get married? Obviously, for my case, I got married in San Diego at the Immaculata Church. So, if that is my question, my answer, my wife obviously will be having the same answer because that is a fact. It's not an opinion question. So if it's not an opinion question, my wife cannot say, we got married in Vegas. They know this is fake. Obviously from the start. Where did you meet for the first time? Someone say we meet in New York, and another person we met in California. That is a very big difference in terms of fact. But you can say, we met, like within, I'm giving an example. Let's say we met in New York. Someone say, we met in the Bronx. Another one say, no, we met at this area, but it still is in New York. That is a small difference compared to various, we are talking about different cities or different states. So don't complicate and start trying to memorize, because if you memorize, you are putting yourself to the lying situation. Because you say, I forgot this answer. We practice this answer. The questions are normal questions, just to fact check. When did you get married? Until I die, I will never forget the day I got married. It's May 1st. So I cannot say, I got married in December. What do you know? It is winter time versus during the summer. So there are certain things of that nature, which basically is a fact. And those are the questions they're asking. But when you start having the discrepancies of these facts, that is the time when they can decide, let's say the husband is going to one room, another one in another room. They ask the same question, they are going to track if you are lying or you are not lying. So that is how they determine. But it's not even if, I'm giving you an example, they are not going to do from day one, separating you and asking you the same question. No, even if they do that, the question will be tricky. But they cannot ask the question, what type of food the person likes. That is not a big deal. Someone can say, the person likes this kind of soda while he doesn't like that soda. So those are opinion things, but there are certain things which are fact. The first one. Then, but if you start like separating, then you start asking those kind of questions. If they ask you, do you like pizza? I don't eat pizza at all. And they ask my wife and say, oh, my husband likes pepperoni pizza. They know this is a fake. I don't eat shrimp. And they ask you, do you like shrimp? I say, I don't eat shrimp. And then my wife say, my husband likes to eat shrimp 3 times in a week. They know this is a lie. Which address do you live? You do not know the address you live. One person puts another address in one city, another in another city. So those are the things they are going to look at. But in most cases, they know if you are lying. Just from how you walk to that particular, they know this is a setup in most cases. Yes, they can go and question, but they can know. For instance, like for me and my wife, we are already married. The day we are going to the interview, we were already married we got married on May 1st. Our interview was in April 2011, almost 2012. That was the interview time. So almost we have been married for 2 years on the day of the interview. So we went there. Benedict is already, Benedict was almost 1 year old and 2 months. So obviously the guy started talking like, we started talking, oh man, you have accent like this movie. Have you watched that movie? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And he helped like, oh, just to help the baby to calm down, whatever. So they know for sure, and the question we are just normal, they know for sure these people are married. They see the baby. They see like how you interact. You see like how you, whatever. So all those kind of things they are going to look. These people have been trained to look all those kind of things at very quickly within a few seconds. So the entire thing, like apart from taking photocopies and all other things, it didn't take like more than 10 minutes, the entire process, basically, I can simply say. Then the guy, after the interview, told us. So it depends on this depends on individual case officer, the immigration officer, where this one, he told us, okay, you have been approved for the green card within 10 to 15 days. They say within 10 business days. So basically like 10 to 15 days, including the weekend, you receive your card in the mail. So he told us right away. But some people, they might say, some of the immigration officers, they don't tell you if you have been approved or what. They will say, oh, just you can wait for the decision maybe within 2 weeks. But for us, he told us, and the same day, if not the next day, you can be able to check the status online on the website of the USCIS website. It was already approved. So it was that way. So those are the things you need to take into consideration. And a few other things is a bonus I was going to cover quick because this is already a longer audio. There are a few things you need to understand. Like I mentioned, like the US government cannot separate the families if you are married. Green card by marriage, the question, is it a guarantee? It is a guarantee as long as you are really legally married and you can prove that. That's number one. Secondly, there is the issue of the finance. That's why your spouse must file the affidavit of support that is the one who's going to sponsor you. Kind of that. If doesn't have, you can get a joint sponsor. If you cover that one and you are going to the interview without any problem, if they don't need any evidences, you are guaranteed to be given that one. So even if you're out of status right now, you can still get the green card by marriage. But if you came here illegally, you must get out of the country first and the process come here legally in order to be given the green card. So those are the few things I want to make sure that we understand. And for that particular basis of not separating the family or attaching, so it takes it to, does this one, the new proclamation about suspension of the DV or of the green card in general, or of the immigrant visas and certain immigrant visas, is this affected too? Like if you get married, can you get green card through marriage despite this situation? And even if, let's say, you're outside of the country. Yes, this one, there is no limitation on this green card by marriage. That's the good news. But in addition to that, there is no limitation how many people are supposed to be given a green card by marriage. So if there is a very bigger number of people getting married to foreign nationals, like 1 million people, all 1 million people, they'll get a green card. Different from green card by marriage, there is a fixed number. Like 55,000 many applicants is the maximum. If you go to green card by employment, there is a certain number. But this one has no maximum number of how many people will be given green card by marriage. But other ways, like the spouse of the green card holder, those are certain categories. I'm not talking in this particular discussion. It will be a very long video or audio. So those are the few things I want to make sure you understand. But when I'm talking about not separating the family, I know people will be able to rise the situation, but my son is American citizen. But if all my daughter is American citizen, I'm not. But why are they telling me to go back to my country? So there is a little bit difference here. In Europe, many European countries, like German, I'm giving example. If you have a child with who is German, or you have a baby, the father or the mother is a German citizen, you can be able to be given residence in Germany to stay in Germany with your child. So a child can give you immigration status for you to continue to be there. That is not in America. In America, if you get married, yes, they will protect you to stay here. But having a child of a US citizen, if you want to get married to that person, the child doesn't help you to get immigration permanent residence here, unless otherwise that child becomes adult at the age of 21 years old. That child can be able to sponsor you for you to become a green card holder. But before that, that child has no any advantage for you to be given permanent residence here in America because your child is American citizen. Sorry, this is being a longer video, but it's about 30 minutes so far. But if you have any question related to the green card by marriage, please let me put it in the comment below and I can be able to address that one. But a few other things I'll be able to do. I will make a tutorial video about how to fill properly the affidavit of support, how to properly fill the adjustment of status, how properly to fill the work permit forms. All those kind of forms I'll be able to make within this weekend. I'll be able to do, and you can be able to benefit from those kind of information. So apart from that, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, everyone. This is Ernest Boniface Makulilo, EBM, the founder and the CEO of the EBM Scholars.